So what's up? I'm Jeremy Kitts, live here with Andy Ramsey, my co-host for the CAMMA Cast, number 7. We do a weekly 7.
7, yeah.
We do a weekly podcast, CAMMA Cast, video cast, whatever you want to call this, where we share information, knowledge, topics, exchange ideas that are mixed martial arts, basically martial arts, health and fitness and nutrition related. We're not claiming to be any experts. We're just experienced in this. But we're willing to learn. We want to just exchange ideas. Maybe some of the things that we know, I'm going to say me. Some of the things I know, which is very little. I will. Hey guys, what's up? Thanks for joining, guys. Thank you.
Anthony,
what's up,
Anthony?
Buddy? That we just want to share ideas, and hopefully we can help people with what we know, and hopefully your feedback will help us.
Yeah,
help us to help you.
Last week we had a really great show. We had a lot of feedback coming in and a lot of questions, and we got some questions from last week that we're going to try to get to and answer today. So that's kind of what our topic would be. And
this CAMMA Cast is brought to you by Roast Coffee, downtown Chillicothe on 2nd Street.
By far best coffee in town.
Where they directly roast and brew the coffee themselves, all in-house. So they get from the farmer, roast it, brew it, and serve it to you. And cool merchandise, T-shirts, cups, hats, they got it all. Cups, yep. So we thank you guys for your support at Roast. Hey, thanks, Danielle. Appreciate it. It's been fun. It's been a crazy ride. Okay, so what we're going to do is first we're going to do our monthly drawing. So we try to do a monthly giveaway just as an appreciation back to our loyal customers and whatnot. So what we have is I have a list in my it's in my phone, so we're never going to know. We can't do it. I can't do it now. I just realized that. I can't do it live because we're live on there. You didn't do the fishbowl? I'll draw the number maybe, and no. We'll just do this later. I will video it and do the drawing after. But I want to show you what we're giving away. We got a cool little a back massager. That in case get those I get tight there all the time, right at the bottom of my trap under my shoulder blade, right in between there. This is awesome for that. It's adjustable. You can turn it to get a better angle on there and whatnot. That's awesome. Couple protein drinks, some Body Fortress protein, 42 grams of protein vanilla, some muscle milk chocolate, a Cliff bar, 20 grams of protein, a CAMMA t-shirt, a CAMMA drawstring bag, and a $5 gift card to Roast Coffee. Thank you again, Roast. I didn't realize that I couldn't do this live, so I apologize on the drawing, but we will do a video after and get it to you guys. For sure. But at least you know now what's going on. So come be a loyal customer. All of our loyal auto pay members who are dedicated to a year with us are eligible for the monthly drawing. That's their incentive for being loyal to us. Oh no, I'm just lost connection real quick with that. So if you send something, we'll try to see it. Anyways, jumping right into our topic, and not wasting too much time, we had. Okay, well, let's say thank you for your feedback. Oh yeah, for sure. Again, we want your feedback on our topic or what you would like to hear, or if you have a question about MMA, health, fitness, anything like that, just put in the comments or after the video. Or just send us a private message, and so that's what gave us our topic for this week, and we'd like to share our point of view on it, and we appreciate all your feedback. We had a lot of nice feedback last week. It was a good show. I really enjoyed it. He got fired up if you haven't seen it. Yeah, I get a little he got wound up. Well, it was something I'm passionate about, and the questions that I was getting were perfect because that system I'm creating, if there's any flaws, I want to know. I'm not claiming that it's the best way. I'm trying to make a way, so if you haven't watched that episode, please do. Yep, it's up on the CAMMA page. We appreciate your feedback. If you like it, give us thumbs up. Please share it. Share it now, share it after. Say what's up, even if it's on the playback. We want to know who are reaching and who's getting. So, on with the topic of the week was what somebody asked how long Casey, I'm not even going to say his name. Her name, his name. No, I try to be incognito. Just in case. but he did post on a public thing. How long does it take for someone with little to no knowledge to become a fighter? Or was it an amateur even? Probably. I mean,
we're going to start at amateur. Just a fighter in general.
Your stuff's locking up.
Yeah, well, I see it, and there's a bunch of stuff going on right now I don't like. Anyhow, on with it. So it also depends so much on how long it takes. We get that question a lot of how long will it take for someone with no experience to come in and become a fighter. And first off, the first thing you need to know is, like, me personally, I hate the term fighter because I'm a martial artist, and there's a vast difference. And then you got to kind of pay attention to the show and know that we point these things out. There's a big difference between a fighter and a martial artist. So we are always training, whether we're competing or not. We're always sharpening our tools and getting better. Fighters come in and they fight, and then they leave, and then they don't train again or sharpen their tools until it's time to fight again. So then they go into their camp, and then they're back to training. We're always honing, always getting better.
So it could be 1 week, and you could be a fighter. Doesn't mean you're going to be good.
Right.
I mean, that's what I hate. That also, I get messages. I want to fight. Cool story. You want to fight? Okay, then call a promoter.
Right.
And get a fight. Like, I'm not here to do that for you.
Yeah. You know? Anybody that can pay your license to the commission can jump in the cage and get handled, honestly. Or, I mean, they can do well, and it's all different. But for our doors, we do have our ranking system, and we've made it a rule that nobody fights until they're a yellow belt. And even then, it's pretty. They have to really show us something. But in my experience, I took my first fight probably 3 months into fighting, and I wasn't ready. I was not ready at all. And that was just due to for starters, the sport was still pretty new. It hadn't been mainstream yet, and there wasn't a lot of knowledge, especially from my base of wrestling. I knew the boxing and kickboxing field. I knew nothing about jiu-jitsu, and I got taken down and beat on for a minute. And so it does depend on people. Steven says it depends on the person.
Absolutely.
It does. But in my experience, I like when people come in and they have no experience. I think they tend to be the better students. They adjust better, or they grasp the concepts a little better. And we don't have to break old habits
that's the big thing.
that are built in.
They don't have to unlearn anything that's wrong. It's all ready to be absorbed. The way, like if they were under a previous coach, it was working for that coach possibly. But if you have a different style, you'd have to unlearn some of it. But a lot of it is just stuff they've done on their own. They're wailing on the heavy bag at home and thinking they're a world champ. And no offense to people, I mean, like, it's just, you just don't know, when you're not being tested every day, or you're not around people who actually do it, you can tend to think like, you might be killing it. You are killing it. Just not in a practical way, probably. Right. But it does depend on the person. Some people learn faster in certain ways than others. Some people think they can do it one day a week and become something. And, it's also a matter of the time that you're putting in. That's the bottom line. It's either... if two people with the same amount of experience, same learning abilities, start on the same day, 1 year from now doesn't mean that they're both going to be ready to fight, because one person went 5 days a week while the other only went 2.
Right.
That it's the amount of work. So it could be 6 months. It could be a year. It just depends. I would say here a minimum of a year. It's going to be a minimum of a year if you're fresh off the street, no prior experience, and you're starting from square one. A minimum of a year, and that's up to you on how much you want to put in. You're gonna you got to sacrifice most of your life, your personal life.
Yeah.
And are you willing to do that? And which is a whole nother side of it.
Yeah, there's a whole lot that goes into fighting, and I think people kind of have a misconception of we just, we train and then we go and fight. And
no, they have a misconception that we fight and then we go fight.
Yeah, that's true. And it's a big difference, and it's a whole different world. And we talked at the last podcast about how you could be killing it in the gym.
Hi, Keely.
And then jump in the cage and just be awful. Deke says you
fitting tonight?
Yeah, killing.
No, we grappling.
Fighting those guys in Kentucky. But it does depend on the people, and it also depends on what camp you're in. So if you are natural, I think people kind of fight to their own natural vibes anyways. You have things that you're going to be naturally stronger at. And if you are in a wrestling camp, let's say, your wrestling might not be that good, but you're going to get better. But if you're not naturally prone to doing a wrestling style of fighting, that style might just not be good for you, and you need to locate to a different camp, and that's a whole other process as well. I think we are pretty good about trying to find well-rounded fighters. We don't specialize anything in one sort of style per se.
Well, and even if not, we're not finding, we are creating them.
That's true.
That's what the system is built around, is creating a well-rounded mixed martial artist, not just a one-sided fighter. So that we try to eliminate the amount of holes in our game or weaknesses by being well-rounded. The other part is, I don't know. For me, it's like I never know if I am ready or not. I took that big, long 7-year layoff. Took my fight in October, and I remember standing there like, what am I doing? Like, I have no idea if I know how to do this. Why am I here? Because it's so different every time. No two fights are the same. No experience is the same. It's always different. And I think that kind of keeps you on your toes a bit if you are actively competing, or it keeps you honest, I think, in the end. If we have anybody out there live, or if you're watching on the replay, anybody who has actually fought a sanctioned fight, how long did you train yourself before? Not yourself training, but how long did you yourself train before you had your actual first fight? That would be, I would like to get different points of view. I trained a while, I guess. I did boxing and tough man competitions for about a year and a half. I was training for that and doing that for about a year and a half before I got into MMA training. And then it was the whole time though, I was grappling with my friends and stuff. So I was getting good boxing training and just figuring out grappling for the most part. And then the last 6 months before I had my first fight, I started getting more grappling from people who knew more than me, and it was about 6 months of really working on grappling and striking while training. And I fought in a tough man competition in March, and then in May I fought MMA. So I was training for a tough man competition boxing wise, but doing grappling with that, which was the best cardio for a tough man competition. If you're out there and you're doing tough man competition, grapple, because all they want to do is attack you, lay on you. They swing, they don't have control of distance, and they're laying on you. And if you're not prepared for that clinch cardio, you're going to be screwed.
It's a whole different animal.
So listen, grapple, it helped so much. I didn't even run to get in shape. I was grappling and doing other body weight exercises. Not that, but then 3 months after that, I honed in a lot more grappling, got into a gym that did jiu-jitsu, and got my just more focus on that, more training partners with that, and then how to fight.
Deke says that he was 4 months. Earlier you said six months, and now you said 4. He remembers an awful Rampage chain. Yeah, Jeremy. The first time we saw Jeremy was in Kentucky, and he walked out with this Rampage Jackson chain, and
yes,
it was pretty funny at the time. He does. We talked about this.
That was Junkyard Dog.
He doesn't remember, but I watched him fight, and we were in the same weight division at the time. And you came out, and we were kind of chatting a little bit, and we talked about fighting each other. And looking back on it, like how silly was I? Because that would have been a laughable mistake for me. But
before we were on the same team. This is before.
Yeah, long
this was
before.
The beginning. It was like my first or second fight at least.
Yeah.
Probably my first
I think I had already had 2 fights maybe. And so I had just come off of a win. and was, feeling good about myself. Yeah, I beat some pud, and I was like, oh, look at this. Like, I think you lost that night because I think it was a Matt Hughes fight. So I was like, oh, this is gonna be a good scrap, and we started talking, and it obviously never happened. But man, I think I watched that fight again the other night, and at that time your technique wasn't there, but man, you hit so hard. And you were so durable. There's no way I would have put a dent in you at the time. Like, no way. No way.
I could hit hard, was very fast. Hadn't learned how to control my distance yet. So when I would attack, I would be too fast for myself and get in too close and lose control of the striking distance.
Chelsea says that she trained for a year before her first fight and had no proper knowledge. I think that's a good time frame, honestly. I think within a year's time, if you're getting good training and consistent training, a year is a good time to start testing the waters, and not necessarily even stepping in the cage, but you need to be doing grappling tournaments. You need to be doing, those tough man contests to get you ready for that pressure. I've never done tough man. How is the pressure between tough man and MMA different?
It's not different, but I got comfortable with myself in tough man and was able to be myself. And I lost it all when I came to MMA because of the other factors. There's so much more to think about now. It's not just punching from the waist up. Now it's grappling, takedowns, kicks. And it took me a while to find myself again in that.
Right.
Where it's all mental. I was there. I had the capability, but I wasn't allowing myself to be me and to do what I do every day in the gym. For some reason, I thought it was different when it's somebody I don't know and they're trying to hurt me. I had to convince myself, hey, everyone's trying to hurt me every day in the gym, and I'm piecing people up. Why am I acting like this guy is any different? Yeah, I need to respect that he could hurt me, but be me. Do my things that I do to everyone every day, not do, I have to be myself. Quit trying to be maybe what I would think people want to see, or just loosening up and relaxing and doing it. One
thing that I really worked on this time around is being in the moment and not being kind of carried away. And a lot of times you're just in the cage and you're just reacting and you're not thinking. You're just moving the way you're going to muscle memory mode, which is not necessarily a bad thing. But oftentimes it stops you from doing what you want to be doing. You're just following the dance opposed to leading the dance, and that's something that I was very conscious of. In my last fight, I remember checking myself mentally because I took some pretty hard shots and having to regroup and think my legs are good, I'm strong here, fine, take a breath. I remember telling myself to breathe, and that's something I never did before. So for me, it's just building confidence in yourself and then being aware of the moment, not just reacting. I think that's a big secret that was never told to me coming up.
Just want to kind of go back over what we're talking about here. Thank everyone for joining. If you've joined after we've already started, we're talking about what it takes from square one, little to nothing, what it takes to be an actual fighter. I would say number one, sacrifice. If you're not willing to sacrifice anything, you're not going to get anything in life, really, whether it's fighting or not. But to become a fighter, you're going to have to sacrifice a lot of time to commit to learning, and then you're going to have to sacrifice a lot of time with your family and friends or other places in life as well. And it takes a good support system to back a fighter. And let me tell you, it takes. If you're a man or a woman, if you have a significant other, if they're not backing you, it's you're not gonna make it.
No.
You're not gonna make it. You're not gonna mentally be there ever. And it's just And then also you'll get people who are all about it, just like people are all about fighting. But when it comes time to doing the fight stuff, to live the life and make the sacrifices, that person that was there all about it, oh, cool, I'm dating a fighter. Well, they don't realize that, there's a sacrifice involved, sure. And all of a sudden they're all against everything you do, and that puts a world of hurt. And it's a sacrifice. It's you're putting your life on the line against someone who's training, to defeat you, and if you're not prepared. And that's if you didn't sacrifice enough to be prepared, is what I would say.
Well, that not necessarily even the fight, because when we've talked about it, our fights were so much easier than our training regimen was, back in the day, and we went through more wars in the gym than we did in the cage ever. The other part is realizing that you're writing checks with your body. You're writing checks, and eventually you're going to have to cash those. And it's all about, as you get older, maintaining your body, making sure those old injuries don't catch up to you. But eventually, like I'm very well, eventually they will. It's going to happen. We can only go so long in these bodies, unfortunately, and eventually they start breaking down. But it's training smart also, not just hard. Everybody can train hard and do the complete wrong thing and tear up your body before you even get in the cage, and that can definitely be a possibility.
Right.
Boss Rutan says the R on his hand reminds him to relax. That's a big one.
Oh, the one on is it on his palm? He's got something on his palm. I think he's got something here too.
He's got a bunch of, yeah.
Yeah, I know he's got a palm. Relax.
Didn't have the heart to make the sacrifice, so had fun, and I'm glad. Yeah, man. Sometimes you have to be honest with yourself, and it's not necessarily for everybody. And it's a journey, and the journey can run its course at some point. You can decide that I did that, and it was fun. It was a good time in my life, and now it's on to something else, because those sacrifices that you have to make are so one-sided. Your family, it takes such a toll on your family, and I think a lot of people don't understand that, because it's easy to say I'm going to the gym, but when you're living at the gym, that's what it takes, honestly. You and I, we're here 5-6 days a week doing this thing. Obviously we run it, but even if we're training, that's 6 days a week, 3 hours that we're not spending with our families or whatever might happen. And those are the things that you have to kind of weigh out and let people make sure that people around you know that's what's going on. And try not to loosen the blow any by saying it's not going to happen, because it's for sure if you really want this.
So let alone not being able to hack it technically and hang after you step in the cage, a lot of people just can't handle the sacrifice it takes or the pressure that they didn't realize was outside of the fight before the fight. I always say that the real fight is not it's the fight outside of the fight or within the fight. The fight within the fight is within yourself. Yeah. The whole pressure, the time, just a lot of factors that people don't realize when they just see Friday night on TV. That's all they're seeing. They don't see that sacrifice, and it looks all fun and games. Oh, yeah, I want to go on TV on Friday nights and kick somebody's ass, and I want to be cool. Like, that's going to be awesome. Everyone's going to love me. Well, that is cool. That's fine, but it's not easy, or everyone would be doing it. There would be way more of the population in MMA fights right. than not.
If it was easier, yeah. Casey asks a good question. He said, did either of you have fight anxiety, and how did you deal with it? If so, is there a difference between early in your career and late? 100% every fight, there's anxiety, and even long before you step in the cage. For me, the moment that we talked about fighting, and I'm the one that approached you about the second go-around, was like, hey, I want to fight again, the anxiety was already there. Signing the contract, the anxiety is already there. If you really care about what you're doing and really testing yourself, I think you're going to have anxiety. And if you don't have anxiety, you're probably not doing the right things. Yeah.
Or you don't care enough. Yeah, and that's again, like a month of knowing you're going to have to feel good on this day, and somebody's training to beat you up on this day, and like that's what people don't understand, the pressure, the anxiety that you're dealing with. You try not to think about it, but somebody's training out there to kick your butt, and if you're not prepared, you could be hurt seriously, and that's the side that most people can't handle.
For sure.
The pressure, they crumble. And then whether they can handle it and still step their foot into the cage, because a lot of them don't even do that. They just bail. But if they can step foot in there, they're never going to perform because they're just too worried about everything.
The difference between then and now for me is just experience and being confident in myself. And I know it's easier said than done. We were getting ready to walk out in October, and I was, in my zone doing my thing, and I was nervous as hell. I was sick to my stomach, and Jeremy was right behind me, and he said, "Hey, this is nothing he's not going to do anything to you you haven't seen before." And for some reason, that kind of settled me in a little bit. I'm always nervous right before my walk. I don't want to walk out of the locker room. I don't want to go, but as soon as I'm on the way, then I think all those nerves kind of go away, and you're there to handle business.
I think that you never lose that anxiety, like you said. You just learn to expect it and to go with it.
Right, right.
And like I said to you, he's not going to show you anything you've never seen. Realizing that for myself was like, yeah, people, like, I go with all kinds of different people in the gym all the time, and I do my thing, and I nobody's just crushing me. So why do I not just do my thing?
Right.
Why do I let this situation that we're in front of a bunch of people now, and I can't show people how good I really am, or I'm holding myself back.
Yeah,
I'm not fighting to my potential.
There's a lot of things that go into it, and I'm really bad about anxiety and putting pressure on myself that even no one else puts on me. I do that to myself because I believe in what we do here, and I believe in my coaches, and I believe in my training partners and my family, and they believe in me, and I don't want to do anything to let them down. And whether it's, giving up on myself in the middle of the fight, or whether I embarrass myself during the fight, I don't want to do anything to bring shame onto our gym. And I know that no one else puts that pressure on me, but I definitely do it to myself. And so it's a matter of being honest with yourself and understanding the situation. Like you said, going with the anxiety instead of trying to clash against it, understanding that it's going to happen and it's normal that it happens. If you don't have anxiety before the fight, you probably shouldn't go out, honestly.
And if it's so bad that you can't go out, then you didn't train hard enough.
Yep.
When I get to that point, the fight is already, in a sense, won before the day of the fight. It's won in the training room. And if you've been slacking in the training room, don't think you're going to go out and get a 2-second knockout. And that. Here's what happens. When you slack in the training room, you get your butt kicked. When you kick butt in the training room, the fight goes fast. Sometimes it seems that way, but when you're like, oh, the fight just went fast, I can just knock everyone out. So next time you slack, well, you get your butt kicked because you're not that good like you think you are.
That inner fight, that's the thing that I like to hone in the most, understanding. And we talked about it before, because a lot of times in my career earlier, I would quit. I would break in the middle of my fights. I'd be winning. The first round, I'd come out and I'd look like an all-star, couldn't get the job done. In the second round, I'd feel like complete hell, and I'd break mentally. And that's something that I felt like I've had to work on through the years. And then I ran into Alejandro, that big buzzsaw, and I was able to put myself in good positions to stay alive and win that fight. But not breaking mentally, not quitting on yourself, and being able to take that punishment, because that's, you've always said it, fights are all about who can take the most punishment for how long in the end. And that's kind of what it came down to. Believing that, that 3-round fight will be over eventually, and if you can just hang out a little longer, one more minute, that's a win in your book. Just having that confidence moving forward is the hardest thing to get. But once you have it, I think it carries.
Yeah, I think one thing with me, I have asthma, and I fought several amateur fights where I was allowed to use my inhaler between rounds, and no commission ever said anything. And then, like, my first pro fight, I let the doctor know I have asthma, I have my inhaler, and then they specifically said you can't use that between rounds. And I was like, what? I've always used this between rounds.
Right.
And I had already been sick that week, but it really freaked me out. And then thinking, like, oh my God, like, I gotta, but really learning that I could do it and overcoming that, and in my book, I wasn't looking for an advantage. I was just trying to keep the playing field even. Like, I have a lung disease. I need help. Like, I can't breathe. So I'm trying to, like, to me, that's what I was doing. I wasn't trying to use it as an advantage. Right. They were trying to, the commissions, it was prescribed by a doctor, but the commission's trying to act like I'm using it to get an advantage. Right. We don't know what you put in that. Well, it's prescription.
Right.
Whatever.
You can also see where they're coming from, though. Not saying,
right. So, you know what? I said fine. And then, it just made me a better fighter.
You got to learn to finish those fights quicker.
Yeah, and that's... Whoa.
Well, that was a sweet gong sound.
It kind of was.
It was awesome in the headphones. Deke said, the focus in the cage is amazing. His mind's usually going a million different directions, but when the cage door shuts, he's 100% focused on what he's doing. I think the cage is a whole nother dimension. I really do.
It is. Well, and I've said that. I've even done a show on that where I was talking about dying. You die in there. Every time you go in there, you die. The person you come out a different person with new knowledge that you didn't understand before. Mm-hmm. New knowledge about yourself, about life, about... Just it's unbelievable what you actually learn about the person you're fighting.
Yeah,
the type of person that they are. Mm-hmm. It is so weird. Until you would do it, you would never understand that.
That's always funny, and I've always had to I've been asked those questions of how do you guys hug each other after you get done beating the shit out of each other, and how are you guys so friendly afterwards?
How do football teams hug?
Well, for me, it's and I've always explained it. It's nobody in those moments knows you better than the person you're fighting because there's no ego to hide behind. There's no bravado. There's nothing. You are you in your rawest form in those moments that you're in the cage together. So you don't connect with anyone else like that on a regular level.
There's no BS about it. We know what we're here to do. Yeah. I know your intentions. You know my intentions.
Right.
There's no, and we're gonna find out.
And then it's who brought the breaking point out of who first, and that's a rare thing, and you're not going to get that anywhere else. I truly don't think so. The other part of the cage that's interesting is 30 seconds is 4 hours. I'm telling you, it never fails.
Time is, what do they say? Time is only relevant to the observer. And yeah, you're sitting outside the cage watching, and you hear that 10-second bell, and it's like a blink of an eye. For that person in that cage, like it's especially if it's a rough fight and they're tired or whatever, it's like that 10 seconds is never going to get there fast enough.
Definitely.
And then it's like, okay, or like, it only sounds 3 minutes. Okay, only 3 minutes. That's it as an amateur fight. Or even a minute, okay, there's only a minute left. That's not a lot of time, but in a fight, it is another dimension. It is. It's the only way I could say it.
Controlling the adrenaline dump, I think, helps with that time management also.
Right, but I don't think you can control that.
No, but like you said, the way we warm up before we walk out is we feel like we've already been through 2 rounds.
Right, that's how I help with that for sure.
Before we even step out there. So I think that was a big change for me, was warming up like that and going out tired and not being so jittery from the nerves.
Yeah, it keeps you looser.
Yeah, for sure. I think it made a big difference. But it's crazy to me how different perception is in the cage and how bright the lights are, or how loud the crowd is, or how not loud the crowd is. How you don't hear anything sometimes when you're in there. It just depends on what's going on. It's always amazing to me. And we're grapplers by nature, so all my fights have always went to the ground, and it was a matter of like sometimes you're rolling and you don't know where up is up and where down is down, and you're just kind of I don't say flowing through the moment, but you're just kind of lost in space there for a while. I've had that happen to me a couple of times where I've had to reground myself and figure out where the hell I was. I've also been the guy that walked to the wrong corner after the round. I've done that a few times. Which you helped me in that last fight because you just walked in and shoved me to the right corner, so I didn't look like a complete fool.
Right. All right, guys. Well, we're running out of time here. We've maxed out on it. Hope we gave you some feedback on the questions. We appreciate all your feedback. Please like and share this, and still give us some questions or topics that you'd like to hear about or hear our point of view on. And we'll keep them coming at you.
Keep sharing. Active shooter tomorrow.
Sunday,
sorry.
Sunday at 1:30. That's right. Active shooter response seminar. So there's still spots available. Go online, www.camma.net, CAMMA.net. You can sign up and register there, and come find out how to respond in case you're in a public place and someone comes in with a gun.
Definitely. All right, guys. Thank you. We'll see you next week.
All right. Thanks for your feedback. Love you guys. Peace.